Let's jump right in. Today, we're bringing you a brand new explainer that's honestly going to completely change the way you look at your daily routine. We're talking about the gym. For most of us, right? A fitness center is this place of self-improvement, routine, and, the place where we willingly torture ourselves on leg day. But ultimately, it's a place where we feel secure. We've got our headphones in, we're focused on our reps, and we feel totally insulated from the outside world. But what happens when that illusion of safety completely shatters?
Really think about it. What actually happens when the safest, most mundane place in your day-to-day life suddenly empties out? When the sun goes down, the music stops, masking the background noise, and all the people just disappear. The whole atmosphere shifts. And, as we're about to see from the source material we've compiled today, you are so much more vulnerable than you think.
The core of this problem really comes down to a stark contrast. A daytime gym, it's loud, it's packed with people, and it's heavily staffed. There's safety in numbers, right? But a 24-hour gym in the dead of night, it's isolated, it's utterly silent. There might literally be just one single staff member sitting at the front desk, completely unaware of what's happening back in the dark corners of the weight room. It is the absolute perfect environment for creeping dread and, unfortunately, for opportunistic predators.
Okay, moving to case 1, the digital key. Let's look at the domino effect of an unlocked screen.
So, this first case started with a simple late-night leg workout. Our subject was one of the last people in the gym, pushing through a final set of 20 on a seated leg machine, just completely in the zone. And suddenly, their focus is broken by this very specific sensory detail: static. Their wireless headphones started getting staticky, followed by that little notification chime that they disconnected from the phone. Now, they knew from past experience this only ever happened when the phone got too far away. The problem? They had just left the phone right in the compartment on top of the machine. They reach over, and the compartment is completely empty. That was the first major red flag.
Desperate, they scan the nearly empty gym. There's only a front desk worker, a sweaty guy, and one other guy sitting on a machine, looking down at his phone. So the victim walks right up to this man and firmly asks, "Did you take my phone?" The guy, who's wearing earbuds and giving off serious attitude, pauses for a few seconds and just coldly says, "No." But when the victim went to the front desk and had the worker check the security cameras, the truth came out. The footage clearly showed that very same rude patron swiping the phone and slipping out the exit just 15 seconds earlier.
Now, the absolutely crucial point is what happened next, and it is a massive lesson in digital security for all of us. The victim realized with absolute horror that they had recently disabled their passcode block. So this wasn't just a stolen piece of hardware anymore. By removing that security feature, they had accidentally handed a complete stranger immediate unlocked access to their entire digital life. Every app, every text, every picture, every email. They essentially handed a total stranger the keys to their entire identity.
And what's truly terrifying is the timeline of how quickly a simple gym theft escalated into a severe, real-world nightmare. The very next morning, the victim gets a hold of their best friend Tom. And Tom is already freaking out. Why? Because the thief had been using that stolen, unlocked phone to impersonate the victim. The thief texted Tom, claiming to have had a fight with their parents and asking to crash at his place. Then, the thief specifically asked Tom to just leave his back door open so they wouldn't wake him. Unknowingly, Tom agreed, went to sleep, and right at midnight, that same thief from the gym walked straight through Tom's unlocked back door.
The aftermath of this whole situation is just chilling. Tom and the victim reviewed Tom's home security cameras the next day, and they watched this man from the gym scavenge through the den, the kitchen, the upstairs, literally stuffing expensive valuables into his pockets. But the absolute most terrifying part? The footage showed this intruder opening Tom's bedroom door and stepping inside for 20 seconds while Tom was fast asleep, before walking back out and leaving the door wide open. And despite having camera footage from both the house and the gym, 3 months went by with absolutely no update from the police. The thief walked into a dark bedroom, took what he wanted, and got away scot-free.
All right, case 2, the parking lot predator. This shifts our focus from digital vulnerability to physical escalation in the dark. Our source material outlines an individual who got off a late shift and went to a 24-hour gym around 11 p.m. They were totally alone until a man walked in, bizarrely wearing a beanie and a heavy hoodie even though it wasn't cold inside at all. We can break down this predator's behavior into 3 terrifying steps of escalation. It started with step 1, prolonged, unblinking staring. The victim tried to brush it off, even moving to a completely different, isolated section of the gym over by the free weights. But the predator didn't stop. This led to step 2, actively hiding and stalking. And finally, as you'll see, it climaxed at step 3, a full-blown physical chase in a dark parking lot.
The stalking phase here is deeply unsettling. The victim was doing bicep curls, facing a mirror, and suddenly noticed something out of place in the reflection. The man in the beanie had followed them and was now actually hiding behind one of the chest press machines. There was this slight opening between the lifting mechanism and the actual plates on the machine, and peering right through that narrow gap was the man's face, just staring. The predator was actively hunting them within the supposedly empty, brightly lit room.
Too intimidated to confront him directly, the victim quietly left the room, alerted the reluctant front desk worker, who, by the way, couldn't find the man anywhere, and then just decided to leave the gym entirely. They walked out into the dark, quiet parking lot. They got to their car, put the key in the door lock, and that is when the silence broke. Manic footsteps hitting the concrete. Somebody was running full speed right at them.
The victim instantly turned 180 degrees, sprinting out of the pitch-black darkness and right into the circle of light cast by the parking lot post was the man in the beanie and hoodie. The victim barely had time to react. They threw open the car door, jumped inside, and slammed their hand down on the lock knob a split second before the man grabbed the outside handle. As the victim frantically threw the car into reverse and slammed on the gas, the man violently kicked at the door and window, leaving actual dents in the metal as the victim barely escaped into the night.
Which brings us to case 3, the phantom outage, our final and undoubtedly most psychological case, the unexplained in pitch black. So this one takes place during a graveyard shift at a 24-hour fitness center over in New Jersey. The lone worker was keeping an eye on a guy pacing the gym, who eventually just wandered out of sight. 10 minutes go by, and then boom, the entire building is plunged into complete darkness and utter silence. The power completely shut out, no lights, no music, just absolute blackness. The worker, using literally nothing but their phone's flashlight, navigated to the back storage area to check the power box, fully expecting to bump into that pacing patron along the way. But as they called out for the man over and over in the pitch-black gym, there was no answer.
After failing to fix the power box and finding the back area completely empty, the worker realized there was only one place left to check: the dark women's bathroom. They slowly opened the door and called out. Nothing. But as they crept closer to the bathroom stalls, pointing their flimsy phone flashlight around, they heard something. And it wasn't a voice. It was sickly, deranged breathing noises coming from inside one of the stalls.
The worker was completely frozen. They asked if anyone was in there, but got no response. Slowly, they got down on their knees and shined the phone flashlight underneath the gap of the stall door. Right there, practically inches from the worker's face, were 2 legs standing perfectly still behind the door. The patron was just standing there, in the dark, inches away, listening. The worker scrambled up, heart pounding out of their chest, ran blindly back to the front desk, and immediately called the cops.
But while they were waiting alone in the dark for the police to arrive, the psychological terror kept going. Suddenly, a loud metallic hit echoed from across the dark gym, sounding exactly like a heavy machine weight being intentionally dropped. The workers shined their light down the length of the gym and saw someone walking between the machines, staying just barely out of reach of the beam, clearly messing with them. For a split second, at the very edge of the flashlight's glow, a face looked back. The police finally arrived, swept the entire building with their heavy-duty flashlights, and found absolutely no one. They figured the intruder must have slipped out the back door. But guys, the real twist comes the next morning. The owner of the gym, Kathy, arrives to check on the situation and reset the power. The worker, super eager to prove what they just experienced, asks Kathy to pull up the security footage from the minutes right before the power went out to identify the pacing man. So, what happens when they check those tapes?
He wasn't there. According to the security cameras, the man did not exist. There was absolutely no footage of him entering the building, there was no footage of him pacing around the equipment, and there was no footage of him walking into the back section before the outage. The worker had spent the night being hunted in the dark by someone who, according to the digital record, was entirely a phantom. It's literally like something out of a horror movie.
Moving on to Section 4, Surviving the Night Shift. Let's look at some actionable takeaways here.
While these source files are undeniably incredibly unsettling, we really want to extract the value here and learn from these situations. So, let's look at the essential safety lessons we can pull directly from these 3 cases. First up, never ever disable your phone passcode, even for convenience while working out. As we saw, it grants immediate access to your entire life and can literally invite an intruder right into your best friend's home. Second, trust your gut. If someone is giving you prolonged stares or wearing highly inappropriate clothing for the environment, do not ignore it. Third, report suspicious behavior immediately and forcefully to the staff. Don't let politeness put you in danger. And finally, avoid walking to your car alone in the dark if you feel even slightly uncomfortable. Ask for an escort or just wait until you're absolutely certain the coast is clear.
At the end of the day, it's all about situational awareness. The late-night gym illusion really relies on our own complacency. We let our guard down because the lights are bright and the mirrors are clean. But as we've learned from the explainer today, the darkness outside can very easily find its way in. So I'm going to leave you with this thought to ponder long after this analysis ends. The next time you're working out, headphones blasting, staring at yourself in the mirror of a brightly lit room, are you entirely sure you're alone? Stay safe out there, stay aware, and thanks for exploring this with me.